During World War II, there were prisons. And then there was Colditz Castle, a towering medieval fortress rising above the German countryside, a place so brutal, so secure, that every Allied soldier who entered believed only one thing: no one ever escapes Colditz. But they were wrong, because inside those stone walls was a man who refused to accept fate, refused to obey fear, and refused to die behind enemy lines. His name was Airey Neave, and this is the true story of the first British officer to escape from Hitler's most escape-proof prison, fade to black. Airey Neave wasn't supposed to be on the front line. He was an intelligent, calm young officer, trained in reconnaissance, not direct combat. But when France collapsed under the German Blitzkrieg in 1940, the front line swallowed everyone. On a desperate retreat, Neave's unit was ambushed near Calais. Bullets tore through the streets. German tanks rolled over stone roads like thunder. Neave and his comrades fought until their ammunition turned silent. Then, a blast. A shell exploded near him, sending him crashing to the ground. When he opened his eyes, German boots surrounded him. At just 24 years old, Airey Neave became a prisoner of war. Insert image, British POWs being marched, 1940. He didn't cry, he didn't panic, but inside something burned, a quiet, determined promise: I will escape, no matter what it takes. He was transferred to Stalag 20A, a medieval Polish fortress, converted into a prison. Cold, damp, with walls older than memory. Most prisoners settled into survival mode. Neave entered escape mode. He joined a small group of officers planning a tunnel. They dug at night, scraping the earth with spoons, hiding dirt in their uniforms. The tunnel was just long enough for one desperate chance. On a rainy night, Neave crawled through it, inch by inch, breathing the damp air of freedom. But fate wasn't ready to let him go. A patrol spotted them near the perimeter. Shouts erupted, gunshots rang out. Neave was captured again. And when the Germans discovered he was intelligent, rebellious, and unbreakable, they sent him to a place built for men like him, Colditz Castle. Colditz was unlike any other prison. It sat on a cliff, surrounded by forests and the river Mulde. Its walls were thick, patrolled, and wired. Every guard inside was hand-picked, brutal, sharp, loyal to the Reich. Colditz was Hitler's special camp, Oflag 4C, the prison for Allied officers who had already tried to escape. The worst of the worst, but also the best of the best. Inside these walls were legendary escapers, French, British, Dutch, Polish, each a mastermind in their own right. If Colditz was a cage, it was filled with lions. But still, no one had ever escaped Colditz, not successfully. And that's all Airey Neave needed to hear. In Colditz, time didn't pass normally. The days were routine, the nights long. Escape attempts were constant, tunnels, disguises, forged IDs, all ending in recapture. Neave studied everything. Guard routines, lighting patterns, patrol change timings, weak points in uniforms, German documents, the geography of Saxony. He noticed something others overlooked. Prison guards often ignored German-speaking prisoners, assuming they were low risk. That gave Neave an idea so bold, so insane, that even his fellow officers doubted it. He wanted to escape disguised as a German soldier, not tunnel, not rooftop, not sewer. Walk out the front gate. The British Escape Committee assigned him a partner, Lieutenant Norman Tubby Ficker, a calm, sharp-minded Dutch officer with flawless German. Together they spent months preparing. Everything had to be perfect. Uniforms were stitched, using scraps hidden from German laundry badges, hand-carved from melted toothpaste tubes, boots polished with soot, forged pass documents handwritten by artists, German helmets rebuilt from cardboard and tin, even fake German cigarettes rolled with stolen paper, a slip of ink, a wrong button, a mispronounced word, meant death. But slowly, the transformation became real. Neave looked in the mirror and saw not himself, but a young Wehrmacht corporal. It was January 5th, 1942. Snow covered Colditz like a white shroud. As the sun set, the prisoners began a loud musical distraction evening, singing and banging on tables, giving Neave and Ficker a chance to slip into an unguarded corridor. 2 German officers passed by, nodded at them, and kept walking. Neave felt his heartbeat rise into his throat. They reached a locked door. The key, stolen weeks earlier, fit perfectly. Beyond it lay the guarded courtyard, the final obstacle between prison and the world beyond. A real German sentry stood only meters away. Ficker whispered in flawless German, "Evening patrol, orders from Commandant." The guard barely looked at the forged papers. He waved them through. Airey Neave had just walked out of Colditz. They were outside, but still in enemy territory. Hundreds of miles of Nazi Germany lay between them and Switzerland. They walked through the night, boots sinking into snow, breath freezing in the air. Trains screamed across the countryside, each one carrying death if they boarded the wrong one. Using forged papers, they boarded a train to Leipzig. Every second was terror. German officers walked between the carriages, checking faces. One officer paused near them, stared, leaned closer. Neave's blood turned to ice, but then the officer smiled politely and stepped away. Neave breathed again. Insert image, German train station, 1940. From Leipzig, they took another train to Ulm, then to Singen, a town close to the Swiss border, but the final stretch had to be done on foot. They hiked through forests, crawling under fences, hiding behind rocks as searchlights swept over the hills. Then they reached the border, a small barbed wire fence, when the only thing between them and freedom. Neave whispered, "This is it. Whatever happens, we go together." They climbed. The wire tore into their hands. Then they dropped onto the other side, into Switzerland. Neutral territory. They were free. Airey Neave broke down in tears. The first time he had cried since the war began. Neave didn't retire, didn't hide, didn't celebrate long. The moment he reached England, he joined MY9, Britain's secret escape organization. He spent the rest of the war helping downed Allied pilots, resistance fighters, escaping POWs, underground networks across Europe. He became one of MI9's most effective officers. His tactics saved thousands. After the war, Neave entered politics. He helped prosecute Nazi war criminals at Nuremberg. He became a member of parliament. He became a symbol of resistance, courage, and calm defiance. But on March 30th, 1979, just outside the House of Commons, Airey Neave was assassinated by a bomb planted under his car by an extremist group. The man who escaped the most secure Nazi prison was taken by an enemy he never saw coming, but his legacy never died. Today, historians remember him as the man who did the impossible and walked out of Colditz. There are war stories of guns and tanks, and then there are stories of spirit. Airey Neave's escape wasn't about muscle, it wasn't about weapons, it wasn't even about luck. It was about courage, endurance, and a promise he made on the day he was captured. "I will escape, no matter what it takes." In the darkest chapter of human history, some lights refused to go out, and Airey Neave was one of them.